guys, it's Melissa. In this video, I am going to show you how to print vinyl, patterned or custom vinyl on your Roland BN-20A. So this is just an example of 12 by 12 sheets of vinyl that I have printed. The quality is really, really good. As you can see, or maybe hopefully you can see. But what's nice is you can print them in the exact size that you want. You could take someone's logo if they wanted to have, a vinyl, a logo put on there if they wanted some kind of custom pattern. This actually started as an SVG with one little dog, and I created the pattern from start to finish. If you're looking for that tutorial, it is on Silhouette U. As I did that in Silhouette Studio, it was a kind of a complex thing, but you can make seamless patterns, obviously. But what the other thing that you can do aside from printing patterned vinyl is you can actually print patterned wraps. So if you would prefer vinyl wrapping, tumblers and different things like that as opposed to sublimation, this is a great alternative. So I have it set up in Roland Versaworks already, and we are going to scoot over there and I'm going to show you how to get this ready to send to print. Okay, so here we are in Versaworks. I have my designs already set up, and actually, as you can see, I have them nested. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to start this over so you can see how I got to this point. Okay, so we'll cancel this. Actually, we'll just X out of this. And what I have down here is already nested, so I'm going to unnest that. So my two designs were brought in. They're both PDF. So if you're using from another if you're coming from a different software, you do want to make sure that your files are PDF. Now, this life at the beach is better, or whatever it says, life is better at the beach. That is supposed to be a tumbler wrap for sublimation. I'm going to print it on vinyl, and we will wrap the tumbler with that instead. The dog pattern, as I mentioned, was a seamless pattern that I created in Silhouette Studio. So I exported that as a PDF as well. Now, you don't have to do anything as far as creating the cut lines, because all we need to do is have a cut line around the perimeter, and Versaworks will do that for us. So our two designs are in here. They were brought in by going to File, Add to Queue, and then I added to QA, and they're both here. Okay, so they're independent right now. They are not nested, but we're gonna nest them. So in order to nest the two files, we're gonna select them both with our keyboard. I'm holding down Shift, or if they're not next to each other, you'll need to hold down Control, and then I'm gonna right click and click Nest. So in order to preview this, I'm gonna right click and click Settings. So that's gonna open up this panel, and it's gonna show me our designs in the same work area, okay, in our same page setup. So I wanna conserve vinyl a little bit, so I'm gonna do a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to move to this Quality tab. The Quality tab is going to allow me to make sure I have the correct vinyl. So we are using vinyl, generic vinyl. You can pick the quality that you want. I'm just going to keep it on standard for right now. And then preset, I always like to use Sign and Display. Okay, and then I'm going to move down here to Clip and Tile. I'm going to see if we need to clip any of this. So it's showing you one at a time, and what you can see right now with the dog pattern is that the border of the image is right around the edge. So that is fine. And then we need to move to the second page, so we can click, there's a little arrow there that will allow you to move to the second page. How come it's not moving? You should be able to move to the second page. I don't know why it's not letting me. All right, let's go back up here. Okay, so I'm gonna select this piece. So what you can see is this one, it doesn't need to be clipped either. So that's probably why it wasn't giving us the choice. Now, I wanna move this up here. However, there's not enough room for me to do that, right? So that's why I have that red X. So what I'm gonna do is right now this dog is set up for a 12 by 12. So I'm actually gonna reduce the size of that a little bit because I need some patterned vinyl, but it doesn't have to be 12 by 12. So from the media settings, I'm going to change the scale of this. I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. You're gonna see it is going to reduce in size, which will give me more room over here. Now, this one I know is wider than it is high, so I'm going to adjust the positioning of this. Tell it to rotate a little bit. And then I'm going to try to move it up into that spot. It's still telling me it's not going to fit. So I'm going to reduce the size of this. I'm going to reduce the scale of this a little bit more. Now, if you're only printing one thing, you don't need to worry about this. I'm trying to reduce the amount of vinyl that is wasted. So see now how I don't have a red X, I am able to drop that there. That's perfect, okay? Now, what we want to do is we want to go to the cut contour lines, and we want to tell it that we want it to cut the boundary of the image. So from the tab, I make sure that I'm on Operation Print and Cut Image Boundary. All right, now you can see that as I click back and forth, I have those red little dots on both, okay? So they're around both of them. And now we'll click OK, and we will be able to send this whole job to RIP. So we're going to right click, we're going to click RIP. That's going to move it up to here in the RIP panel, where it's going to take a minute or so to get this job ready to print. Once that is done, we will right click again, and that will send it to the print panel, and then the printing will begin. While we're waiting for this to rip, I should mention that you don't want to reduce the size of the tumbler template if that's what you're doing, because that has to stay a certain size in order to fit on the tumbler. That is why I reduced the size of this patterned dog vinyl instead of reducing the size of the tumbler wrap, because that needs to stay a very specific size. So keep that in mind if you're trying to scale and fit things in a certain area. You only want to scale items that it's not specific to fit on a specific surface or substrate. Okay, and then we will now take the last step, right click again and click print. It's going to ask us if we want to print one copy, which we do, and now it has moved, both of the jobs have moved up here to the printing status, and that will take a second, and then that will begin as well, and then the printing will begin. Okay, once the vinyl is done cutting, then you can simply use an X-Acto knife or a pair of scissors or whatever and cut off the sheet. So you can see it has printed really, really nicely. I'm going to try to cut this so you can see it a little bit better. This is always a challenge. Okay. So now we have the pattern sheet of vinyl that we cut, and then we have this piece that we are going to use, that we can use to wrap around a tumbler. And actually, wrapping tumblers with vinyl is a great way to save a tumbler that maybe you messed up for sublimation. As right here, you can see I have a seam, the bottom had some ghosting, there's not enough, anyway. So if we can't really re-sublimate this, or you can, but it's a lot of trouble to unsublimate something. So it's much easier to actually just wrap it in vinyl, so we're going to do that. Now, once you have your pattern sheet of vinyl, if you were doing something like this, you can either laminate it if you want to better protect it, or you can basically use these sheets as adhesive vinyl any other way you can. You can, use it on a Cricut or a Silhouette or some other vinyl cutter to then cut out a design. And this is a really, really good option for people who want branding and they're not going to be able to find it, you know, elsewhere. So I probably wouldn't print sheets and sheets and sheets of vinyl, you know, to stock your whole shop. But for one-off prints or smaller batches, this is a really good option. Okay. All right, you guys. Now that you know how to print your own patterned vinyl and vinyl wraps, I want to see what you're making. So I'm going to do another video on how to use that vinyl wrap to wrap a tumbler. And if you are interested in the software portion of things, how to use Silhouette Studio, how to set up, make your own patterned vinyl, seamless patterns, things like that, I have videos on that on Silhouette U. You can also check out the free tutorials that I have on Silhouette School and of course here on Silhouette School's YouTube. All right, I'll see you soon.